Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers, and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson, and I'm founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show, I have an interview with David Horne, co-founder at CrewPay. Hope you enjoy it. So, David Horne, co-founder at CrewPay. Welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights.
Oh, thanks, Paul. I appreciate you having me, and it's an honor to talk with you.
So it's a lovely sunny afternoon. It's a Sunday here in Victoria. Tell us where you're calling in from.
Yep. So I'm in on the east coast of the U.S. in a place called Greensboro, North Carolina. So kind of middle of the state, in between Raleigh and Charlotte, if people are familiar with those two bigger cities.
I'm sure they are. So let's go into a bit of detail about CrewPay and how you got into SaaS, because I think your background is a little bit like mine. You started out in services. You're still doing services to some degree. But along the journey, you've spun off a number of different SaaS businesses, and I think the one we're going to focus on today is CrewPay. But so, how far does this journey with SaaS go for you? You know, when did you get started?
I think I launched my first SaaS product in around 2010. From 2010 to 2012, it was basically a subscription box service, but we built a SaaS product behind that to manage the subscriptions and the memberships, and then eventually kind of white label that and had folks use it to power their own kind of subscription boxes. So that was kind of one of the first forays, and then ended up having a couple after that, and most recently with CrewPay. So I've had varying degrees of success. I had a Google Analytics SaaS product called Catch that automated the filtering of referral spam when that was a big issue.
Oh yeah.
And became less of an issue, so it was less marketable. But we had a handful of customers, and then I had FanPack that I mentioned, and then Golf Monocle. I have a golf background, so we had kind of a marketing automation golf product there for a little bit. So I've dabbled in SaaS, as someone that has been looking for that diversification from services.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great. So I think the one that we were going to talk about today is something called CrewPay. I've not come across it before. So what is CrewPay? How does it work?
Yeah, so we just launched, the last couple of weeks. So it's a platform, a software as a service to help small businesses manage and pay their 1099 contractors or independent contractors. So this was very much a scratch your own itch, product came out of that. In the services side, as I'm sure you do, I pay contractors a lot. I don't have a huge staff, honestly. And there was no simple way to do that. You could use online banking or online bill pay, which was somewhat clunky. And then your, payroll and HR software was just too feature rich for what we were looking for. So we built, a simple tool that just handles the 1099 payments. We had used a tool, a software called Payable that was around a few years ago, and they were acquired and then shut down. And so I did some stalking on Twitter and online, and found old Payable customers, and I said, well, what are y'all going to use now that Payable is closed? I'm looking for a tool, and no one really had a set answer, so we decided to build one. And that's kind of how that started. So we've been using it for a little bit internally as we've kind of been our own alpha and beta group, and then just kind of launched it publicly this spring.
Fantastic. So you're a co-founder. How many other people are involved with that project?
There's three other co-founder or groups. So I have a development partner I work with a lot that has a similar model to us, which we affectionately call like a Avengers model or a Hollywood model. They pay a lot of contractors. I pay a lot of contractors, and so we decided to join forces to launch this with one of our other friends that's in Canada, actually, and they're all the way on the other side in Moncton. But
Oh yeah.
Blaze Studios, a guy named Jason Levine, and then Augusto and Digital is the other partner group. So it's kind of those three founders of those three companies, services companies, came together to launch CrewPay.
Wow. So yeah, that's scratching three itches at once.
Yeah, all the same itch.
Yeah.
We're all scratching each other's backs.
So tell me how you're going about marketing it.
Yeah, so we are initially had just done some customer discovery, like I said, around finding people that had used a similar tool and doing some direct outreach. And now that we're launching, kind of using a little bit of like a lean approach, like you would read in, say, the Traction book or something like that, where we have a couple of different channels we're testing to see where we can get some play, and then we'll double down on the ones that are working. So we're trying, our first kind of experimentation. We looked at our resources and our expertise, and we've got a little bit of content that we'll be doing some content marketing, and some webinars with like small business attorneys and accountants and things like that we have relationships with, to just provide value to the customer base and look for that for lead acquisition, and then some nurturing campaigns from there, and then we'll probably sprinkle in some paid, and that'll be kind of our first phase or cycle, I guess, of marketing. Then we'll test some others. We've got a couple of conferences we're looking at, maybe trying that, and then some more direct outreach. I mean, I've found in marketing SaaS products, kind of a multi-channel approach, but there's always, seems like if you always have some direct outreach in addition to your other pieces, if you can do it, you get some good bumps there. I read, or you think about, like, you hear those stories of like Nathan Barrett, ConvertKit, and how they kind of got started, and other SaaS products like that. And it seems like there's kind of that underlying piece of some kind of roll up your sleeves and do some work, as well as some of the cooler things like content and paid.
Yeah, there's no substitute for hard work, is there?
No.
So with the SaaS products that you've had and launched in the past, have you always found that outreach has been a key element to bootstrap these things and get them started?
Yeah, I think I've definitely leaned on it more recently, in the last few years. I think in the beginning I tried, just to do all the sexy stuff that is great if you have an audience, but if you're starting to build one, it's a little slower. So I find that the outreach kind of helps as a stopgap as you're starting to build momentum in the other channels. And I think, talking to people and kind of pitching them a little bit, and obviously it's not scalable, it can't necessarily, but by doing that process, you get to talk with potential customers, learn kind of learn about objections that they might be having or big challenges they're having. So I almost look at it as a little bit of user research as well, because if they say no, and they're not interested, I'd like to know why, and if they say yes, I'd like to know why, and so that we can continue to make the product better, and to just be as high touch as we can in the beginning. And I think that outreach kind of helps you do that while also acquiring customers, and then use what you learn on those calls and that in those emails to inform content marketing, or social or paid, or other things that you might be looking to explore.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of value in those conversations, and it amazes me how people start SaaS businesses and don't seem to have a lot of conversations with people, and they just put it out there and build it and they will come. Just go and put it straight on Product Hunt.
Right. That's all you have to do. Just build it and put it on Product Hunt, right?
Yeah, apparently.
But well, and I think the conversations, what we've seen or what we found is people will still go to your website and still might be able to get into some sort of conversion funnel. Their cold traffic when they get them, if they might even be warmer traffic if they get there via conversation. And then if you're able to use a lead magnet or something like that to capture them or retarget them through some paid also, then that kind of helps compound your efforts.
Sure.
So trying to use as much make it as smart as possible, I guess.
Absolutely, and make it as cost effective as possible.
Right.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
So what's the competition look like in that space?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of competition. I think Stripe Atlas has some tools for contractors. Your payroll software like Gusto and Wave Accounting and some of those also will offer contractor payments in addition to a bunch of other things, payroll and time off and all that kind of stuff. But what we found with our initial customers is they don't need, it's typically an LLC that has a single founder or two founders. They manage a handful of contractors. They don't run payroll and have a bunch of need for benefits and holiday time off tracking and all that. They just need something to know, all right, how many people do I owe? How much do I owe them? And how can I pay them quickly?
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is that there's this sort of sweet spot where, kind of Goldilocks size, where there's a lot of solutions out there that have what you offer as part of much more comprehensive platform. And then there's you guys where, hey, we just, you wanted to not crack nuts. We made you a nutcracker.
Right, exactly. So our thinking, and this has been my through learning with starting SaaS businesses, is I want to take a vertical slice of a problem. If I could solve one problem from end to end, I feel like you have a much better chance of success than trying to solve a broader group of problems, but maybe not the full cycle of that problem. So
sure.
With CrewPay, we just said, what is difficult and frustrating about paying 1099 contractors? And so we tried to take that off the table for our customers. So we're talking with we have a customer that's getting onboarded that's in kind of healthcare education, solo kind of founder, just 8 customers or 8 contractors that she pays on a monthly basis. And she's just been writing checks. I mean, here it's 2019. She either writes checks or does it through QuickBooks, which still sends a check.
I hate checks so much.
Yeah, and that was one of some of her contractors when she met with them and said, "What is the number one thing we could do this year?" They said direct deposit. So it's just kind of solving that, and then in kind of midsummer we'll be launching out like a done for you like the W-9 1099 service. So handling like the triggers of when you need to have a W-9 for a contractor, and there's compliance issues around that in the U.S. where you get dinged pretty hard if you don't file those on time and send those to your contractors. So we'll have a service part of the product that kind of handles that for them. Yeah.
And what's your pricing like? What's the range? Where does it start from?
Yeah, so we're going to be experimenting with pricing, but the initial what we're able to kind of get through our initial beta launch was similar to like if you use Slack, a Slack model where you pay per active contractor. So if a contractor's been paid within 30 days on a running cycle. It's $5 per month per contractor, and then just 49 cents per transaction. So we're not doing a percentage of transaction. It's just a flat fee. Send them, $100,000 or $10. It's going to be the same. So
sounds great. So
yeah.
you juggle a few balls at one time, don't you? Because you've got another SaaS business or SaaS service business called Loft that you're a co-founder and the CEO of. Then you also have a marketing agency called, or collective, I think you call it, called Honestly. So that's three things. How do you manage all of that?
Best I can. I think I try to, as much as possible, have theme days for certain blocks of time. And this is a constantly evolving experimentation of productivity, if that's the right word. But I try different things to be able to block out time dedicated to each of those on a regular basis. So basically, from when I wake up till about 10 o'clock in the morning is like priority work time. So as I'm planning my week, some days or some weeks it might be more CrewPay heavy, and others it might be Loft heavy. And then also from basically 4 to close, 4 to 5:36 or whatever. I have kind of priority work also, right? So outside of that, that 10 to 3 time or 10 to 4 time is when the other people can have control of my time and ask for meetings and all that, and then the rest of the time I'm trying to focus on one or multiple of these. And so I will say, as someone that's kind of have flown solo with Honestly, I don't have any partners or anything there. With CrewPay and Loft, having a team of co-founders and some other folks has been super helpful. I mean, I'm the least qualified to do anything in any of those businesses. I have much smarter people that are partners in CrewPay and Loft. I think that's one of the things I've learned, and honestly, is if you're the dumbest,
hang out with smart.
If you're the dumbest person in the room, everything's going to be okay.
I'm sure you're not. But, sometimes it feels like it. I know that feeling well, especially if you're dealing with very technical people, very technical subjects. You can feel a bit out of your league sometimes. And I'm just thinking, is there anything that in your past life as a ex-pro golfer that you prepared for any of this?
I think so. I mean, with any pursuit of something like that, whether it's business or sports or music or something, the ability to kind of focus at times, I think I learned through playing professional golf. You had to work hard and work smart and be disciplined to do things even when you didn't feel like it, and I think that's carried through. Also, I think golf is one of those sports. There's a couple things. One, the social aspect. Playing golf and playing with people, you could come from so many different backgrounds, but it gives you kind of some common ground to work off of, and shared experiences to kind of relate to people. I think that was helpful. And then two, well, I guess there's three things now that we're talking about it, or a couple things. So number two would be in golf, it's really, there's no way to be perfect. Like no one shoots 18, right? And so the kind of continual improvement and trying to get a little bit better, I think has carried through in the business. Is kind of how can I move a little bit forward today. And then the last part I would say is, in golf, unlike a lot of sports, even when you're competing against others, you're all competing against the course. I'm not really competing against you. I'm competing against the course and my ability. Now, granted, match play is different, but I'm saying in general, you're playing against the course, you're playing against the course. And so there's kind of this friendly competition And so I think in business, that's really translated into not feeling like there's scarcity, like there's only a certain amount of customers and a certain amount of thing that if you win, it means I have to lose, but we can figure out how to collaborate and work on things together and we be mutually beneficial.
Wow, that's a lot more profound than I thought it was going to be. I really like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all playing against the course, and we should all help each other out.
Right.
David Horne, thank you very much for your time today. Really great to speak to you and hear about CrewPay and everything else that you're doing. And be great to meet you for real soon.
Yeah, we should. We'll have to at least in the warmer months. I'll have no trouble coming out there. Being in North Carolina, it feels like it snows there. It snows there all the time.
Okay, thanks a lot, David. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Keep up the great work.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with David. For more info on CrewPay, please visit paywithcrew.com. For more info about this show and to get our links to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher and YouTube, check out www.47insights.com. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, please get in touch. Until next time.